at the time, I know I spoke about when my parents divorced when I was 16. The void that was left back then was, at that point I started to rebel. So I thought, I was so used to a close-knit family sitting down at the dinner table together and things of that nature. I was hurt. It affected me, and I rebelled. I felt like my parents didn't care about us because if you did, why would you separate this close-knit thing that we had, this bond? Yeah. And so my father, I would say he left. He left a void of just feeling insecure and not knowing, what the next day would bring, because I was so used to that close knit family. You know what I mean? So I was kind of, let's say, traumatized. You go through a lot of trauma. So I rebelled, and then later on in life, even though he left that void and that trauma, in hindsight, he came back and he repaired that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So at the same time he left something, he showed me the resiliency of what it took to come back, bounce back. Because in life you get knocked down. Yeah. But it's not about getting knocked down, because we all gonna get knocked down. It's about how you come back. Yeah. You know what I mean? So at the same time, he left a resiliency in me. And then, so what happened later on in life, I had a family. It takes a long time to wake up from traumas and anxiety and these things that we suffer from, PTSD, whatever. And so I was in a landslide for a while, from 16 on through my 20s. Mm-hmm. I was in the streets trying to be something that I was not. Mm-hmm. And, I took some falls as a young man in my 20s. And then I had my first child when I was 37. Mm. So in that I started off, it was euphoria. Fatherhood was euphoria. When I had my first child, I was elated, happy, and amazed that I could that God would choose me to bring a human being into the world. And so, I went through some trials and tribulations, and I ended up divorcing when my second child was born. And I ended up having another child in another relationship after that. Mm-hmm. And I ended up divorcing in that relationship. And so I had 3, and I had to be a single father for many years. And so I think that, that gap, that anxiety, that trauma of not knowing what the next day was going to bring stuck with me for a long time. And I was always in fight or flight. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So once I went through all that, I actually finished my education as a single father at San Francisco State. Mm-hmm. And I used to take my kids to school with me. And, everything that I did, I had to bring my kids with me during my custodial periods of time. Mm-hmm. And so, I always had to think back to, where I came from, how my father, even though he was gone, we were still spending time with him, quality time. He was still, being the better person by, contributing money to the household. He had to buy my mother out of the house to get back in. And he went through a lot. He got beat down to the ground. And so if I had not had the experience of having an all-star dad and a grandfather on both sides and great-grandfather on my dad's side, I don't think I would have came out upright like I am today. Mm-hmm. So, the gap that was left was actually a lesson. Mm-hmm. resilience. And because especially being an African American man, like nothing, when they say nothing is given, we're at the top of that list. And that's my experience with life. But everything that I've gotten, I've always been around and one of the best at everything that I've done. But it's always been harder. Like as an African American man, we have to work harder than your average bear, 10 times harder, to get the same thing that somebody might get, just in passing. We have to work hard. And so, that resilience and seeing how tough times, it's not, those times too shall pass. So, having the resilience to get through that and understanding the process of, resiliency and gaining back what was lost is something that, I hold fast with in my fatherhood, and I'm still battling, but, you learn never to give up. So.